So you got back together with your ex, and I know what you're thinking. Man, that was quite an adventure we had last week. Furries really go hard, and the people inside the fursuits are surprisingly really attractive. What, you don't remember? Oh, that's right. I forgot. You blacked out last week. Well, after you got back together with your girlfriend, the two of you just had sex. For the whole week. I'm not sure how you and your girlfriend managed to pull it off, considering the world record for longest intercourse is barely a day, but man, you guys are loud. Like, seriously.
Any room for one more?
Meanwhile, Chatsuru is feeling an emotion that he hasn't felt before. Regret. He really feels bad for getting your girlfriend addicted to drugs. But in the long run, it kinda worked out. The two of you are now closer than ever. But even so, Chatsuru can never admit his faults. So he's going to do the impossible. He's going to get a haircut. Now everyone knows that if you get a haircut, you're basically starting a new life. And from this point on, Chatsuru will no longer do drugs. He is only going to have one girlfriend, and I think I'm going to have to call him by his real name. Zac Efron. I think I'll just stick with Chatsuru. After all, you can't escape the Chad life. Alright, so let's get this out on a tray. Nice. Anyways, your girlfriend is in a good mood now after all that sex. She even took up art, and she's even spending time with your friends. Isn't it great to have friends? Who said we were friends? Why don't you do something besides eating for once? Maybe it might actually be likable. Don't you give me that look. I do this because I care about you. Everyone knows if you're over 140 pounds in an anime, you're considered obese. Don't be sad. Why are you all sad? Be happy. You guys have everything. You're young and oh, you're not young anymore. You're all getting older. That's why your parents abandoned you. I didn't even notice, but when you get older, you become impotent.
Franxxに乗ることだけが俺たちの居場所じゃないよ。
You're right. Life might seem long, but the days can pass by quickly and add up. Maybe it's time for you to find something that you want to do with your life. After all, you can't have sex forever.
太し。
So you're getting older and I know what you're thinking. Your friends have finally embraced your foreign girlfriend. After months of mistrust, ignorance, and sometimes violence, your friends give your girlfriend a gift. A traditional flower crown. Now I know your girlfriend isn't Greek and this might be considered cultural appropriation, but I think as a society, we should just let this slide, because she looks really cute. Meanwhile, your relationship has really blossomed into something wonderful. I mean, you're already living together, you both make each other smile, you even got a tattoo of her on your forehead. That's definitely some dedication, but I won't judge. Anyways, I think it might be time to take the next step and maybe put a ring on her. Now that's just a thought, there's no need to rush into it. But maybe you can think about starting a family. Although I don't think your girlfriend can get pregnant anymore. Meanwhile, the Soy Boys are back in town. They're here to make sure that everyone looks healthy and continues to have safe and boring sex. But even so, Stacy has been thinking about motherhood, and she wants to get it on with Chatsuru, but this time without a condom.
Kokoro-san.
Oh god, it's so good.
Now you might think Chatsuru is gay, but he's actually teaching us a valuable lesson. When a girl is on your lap, caressing you, unzipping you, and breathing on you, you might ask this question: is it okay for me to batter dip my corn dog? And the answer to that is, no, of course not. She didn't even ask for your consent. How would you know that you want to Anne Frank her attic if she doesn't ask? Besides, Chatsuru isn't sure if he wants to be a father.
Oh, now you fucked up!
But actions have consequences, and the Soy Boys find out about Stacy's attempt to start a family. After all, they don't want any happy accidents. because children are expensive, and we don't want any more poor people in our rich society. Besides, teenage pregnancy is a bad image for the Aryan race. They need to keep this image that they are the ultimate being, one that is slim, blonde, and most importantly, gay. Because being heteronormative is just a pain. We would be so much better as a communist society if we were just one gender. That way, we can do whatever we want and not be bogged by the responsibilities of having children.
What?
Alright, this college-educated liberal is starting to talk out of his ass, but how do you tell him to stop? You're all a bunch of white heterosexuals. All he has to do is call you a homophobe and he wins. Well, good thing we have a normal lesbian to speak some sense on our behalf. Meanwhile, Chatsuru has been thinking about starting a family with Stacy. Now, having a child is life-changing. This is definitely something they have to be ready for. They need to be satisfied with their own lives before they can take the next step of adulthood, especially the mother. After all, Stacy has to put in the time and energy in order to properly raise her child, not to mention actually being pregnant. And Chatsuru needs to be there to support them when it gets hard. It's easy for a father to just run away from their responsibilities, but a real Chad doesn't abandon his family. Now, I know a lot of people will scare Stacy into thinking that being a mother will be the worst stage of her life, and it might be true sometimes, but maybe there's a possibility that when she finally holds her own baby in her arms, that maybe being a parent might be the most rewarding thing to ever happen. Happy Mother's Day. Then again, maybe having a child as a teenager might not be the best idea. But our society does convince dumb people to blow themselves up when they reach their mid-20s, so can I be the godfather? So, Chatsuru got a girl pregnant, and I know what you're thinking. We don't believe in abortion, so normally we would politely ask him to take her hand in marriage. But in a strange twist of fate, Chatsuru really loves Stacy. He even proposed to her before Daddy was able to get the shotgun out of his gun safe. And you know what? I just gotta say, I'm so proud of him! Ever since he quit the drugs, Chatsuru has been more responsible, faithful, and not to mention, respectful to all walks of life. Now, he might have made some mistakes, and he might have ruined some lives, but nobody in the world is perfect. And you know what? I think he'll be a great father. This is the first step in Chatsuru's journey to become a datsuru. Meanwhile, looks like the sex industry is in another controversy again. Seems like a semen spill this time. Corporations have been dumping their used condoms and sex toys into the rivers. They're destroying our wildlife and making your home an unsafe place to live. So now you're all being relocated to a camp. I think they call it Manzanar. It's kind of crowded, unsanitary, hot, and I don't think it's a very good place to live. But hey, it's got 4.5 stars on Google, so the food must be great. But because the government has to spend money to save the stupid environment, they can't afford to spend on the things that really matter. Like Chatsuru's royal wedding. Now instead of having a professional wedding planner, we have to sell for cosplayers and CSGO silver chumps to organize this wedding.
Throwing smoke. Hey! Flashbang. Bomb has been planted. Terrorists win.
Anyways, Chatsuru's ex Daikano is all alone in this world. After all, she's the only homosexual in her community. That's not an asshole. And well, she's in love with Ichigo, because Ichigo said hi to her when she was 6, and then 10 years later she wants to lick her clit. But you know, despite her advances, Ichigo isn't going to change her sexuality to please Daikano, because to Ichigo, her love for Daikano would not be genuine. After all, she sees her as a friend, or maybe she prefers a partner with 20/20 vision. Well, anyways, it might suck to know that Daikano won't be scissoring her childhood crush, but in the long run, getting rejected might be healthy for her, because now she can reevaluate her life and escape her one-itis. And maybe if she continues to explore the world, she might find somebody to love.
has been defused.
Damn you liberal scum! We can't even have a traditional marriage anymore without offending anybody.
No! God, please!
Ugh. Where are we? Manzanar? Is that Chatsuru and Stacy? Oh, thank God, are you two okay? Wait a minute, you don't know each other. Wait, Chatsuru, why do you smell like rubbing alcohol? No! Alright, that's it. Nobody sinks my ship and gets away with it. So my ship is ruined and I know what you're thinking. Well, since you have nothing better to do, you might be wondering, how did we end up in such a society where the KK communists are at war with the incels? Well, let's take a seat and let me tell you about our rich history. Oh boy. So it all started because of your girlfriend's dad. Now you might be thinking, isn't this guy her dad? And I'm not surprised that you thought that, but that's just communist propaganda. They're actually her guardians. But we'll come back to them later. In the distant past of 2025, Donald Trump got elected again. But then he died, because he was old. And because of his death, America was in a power vacuum. And so many political groups seized the chance to gain power. One of these groups was called the Ku Klux Klan. They were a bunch of grand wizards, which is the politically correct term for a virgin, who hated anyone that wasn't considered Aryan. And you'd think such an unpopular thought would disappear, but they discovered oil. And because the sex industry had a lube shortage, the Ku Klux Klan sold their oil at a high price. And with all that newfound wealth, the Ku Klux Klan decided to fund schools, hire professors, scientists, journalists, etc. Basically, they were able to pay people to spread their racist influence. But because the people they hired were mostly college students, who had to take a mandatory liberal arts class, the Ku Klux Klan ended up being more progressive, so they rebranded as the KK Communists.
I can't see fucking shit out of this thing.
We ready or what?
Oh, hold on, I'm fucking with my holes. Oh.
But the leaders were afraid of the younger generation developing different values, so they forced their children to constantly have sex, so their dopamines would prevent them from thinking about politics. And the chads who were immune to the pleasures of sex were given opioids. But having sex with your sister causes problems, and so they started to accept people that don't look traditionally Aryan. If you think about it this way, everyone's skeleton is white, so we're all white on the inside. Except for one group of people, the incels, for they had blue balls. And because of the lack of sex, they started to attack the KK communists and spread their newly created STDs to ruin your sex life. And so, your girlfriend is actually half incel. You see, your girlfriend's dad was a scientist in charge of developing sex toys for kids. And well, he's a lolicon, but he had to keep an appearance, so he had a normal girlfriend. But one day, she hit the wall, and then he broke up with her. With newfound freedom, he traveled deep into the cave and discovered that there lived a 60-year-old woman amongst the incels. Despite her age, she looked like she was 12, which is probably why nobody wanted to sleep with her, because they didn't want to go to jail. But your girlfriend's dad, dare I say, likes his legal lollies.
Hello. Hello. How are you? No. 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 Don't do it. I'm a virgin.
9 months later, your girlfriend was born, but she clearly didn't look Aryan. So in order to keep her alive, he had to classify her as a soy boy science experiment. He was horrified and deeply regrets doing that to his daughter. He wanted to start over again, so he met another girl and got her pregnant. But the KK communists used up all their oil, so in order to keep costs down, they intentionally created suicide missions to reduce population, and your girlfriend's dad's stepmom was a part of these missions. And well, instead of having her own family, she has to take care of orphans. And now we're here. I hope this provided context on what you should be fighting for now.
That just raises further questions.